everybody. Welcome to our final iteration of the Prepping for Your First Powerlifting Meet with Coach's Corner.
Yay!
Yay! I think everyone's about ready to learn how to reflect on the powerlifting meet that you just did. What do you think?
Sounds good. I'm ready.
So one of the things that we always do after a powerlifting meet, generally on the way home, at least for us because we drive together, we just kind of chit-chat about how the day went. And for a lot of people, you usually have a coach or a friend, I'm sure, that travels with you, but that's not the case for everybody. So what we always say is that at least within the first week after your meet, you need to really sit down and think about the things you learned from your competition and how you're going to incorporate that into your training for the next meet. So what's one of the first things that you tell people to think about?
Don't think about it in terms of good or bad.
Okay. What does that mean for them?
So for them, if you missed a lift, don't be pissed off at yourself for missing the lift. Just look at it, okay, I missed it. This is the reason why, and let it go. The meet's already over.
Yeah.
You can't get those numbers back. So keep your positive outlook and be like, all right, cool, learning point. I messed this up. I'm going to change it and make things better next time.
So look at the things that you could do better for next time, it sounds like what you're saying?
Look at the things that you can do better, yep.
And then you talked about the lifts, like if you don't get a lift. What about if you get a lift, but it wasn't your best?
You still got the lift.
Yeah, but isn't there a way that we could fix the technique every time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can always change your technique. So if you get a lift, but you're not happy with how it felt, you may have a couple different issues. You may have a strength issue. You may have a technique issue, or you may just have been deconditioned. So you can look at any of those couple different points and just kind of go over it and see which was which and improve that for the next time.
So then we look at what went well overall at the meet as well. So not just the lift, but in general. You know, we talked about, I think, a couple weeks ago where I had left my headphones at home. So for the next time, I know I need to double check my checklist, make sure my headphones are on there, and that will be something that I incorporate into my next meet. What are some other things that you've seen people do overall?
Not put their numbers in, not put them in right.
Yeah.
Or jump way too high. So say their opener was actually like a 1 rep max attempt, flat out, and they learned that that was it. There was no more like going further past beyond that. Some people leave too much on the table and they want to go for a 4th attempt. The 4th attempt has to be the record. So they're like, well, I just, went super, super low because I was afraid, nervous, didn't know any better, things like that.
So then other things that I think you can consider too is the meet venue. If that meet venue, they're all different. Sometimes they're at hotels, sometimes they're in big gyms, sometimes they're in little CrossFit type boxes. And depending on the location and your personal preferences, that location might not have been or might have been the place for you to compete at. So maybe take that into account of, I know for me, I don't do well when the squat racks are really close together. It makes me nervous to see people banging around and getting in each other's way. So I prefer meet venues that are a little bit bigger and more spread out.
That was something I usually don't take into account. I always think back on it and I was like, man, that was a really, really rough venue to go to. Let's go there next year. Don't always do that.
And then I'm usually the irritated one that we went back there again. So luckily down here in Florida, we've had some great meet venues so far.
Very good so far. I like them.
Yeah. Another thing that we always think about when we're reflecting on our meet is the things that we did well at in general with our training. So during the training cycle, what things worked for you? If we know that, hey, this last training cycle, we were trying to bring up my hamstrings, so we did these exercises and it worked, you might continue to add those in throughout the next cycle to keep the strength up. Or
something like, for us, bands.
Yeah.
Bands were huge. They let us get in all that extra volume on our dynamic effort day without beating us up. So we stayed healthier and we're able to push a lot harder. Something definitely learned is be very, very wary of your opening attempts or your other extra work that you do, especially if you haven't had a chance to squat and all that other stuff.
No, it's definitely a big deal. And so using the same thing, what did not go well in your training? So there's a couple times that we just got really busy. In this last meet, we made a really big mistake in scheduling back-to-back things, and neither of us did well at our meets. They were 2 months apart, but there was just too much packed in. So now we know, okay, we can't do that anymore. It's too much. We don't get a good, consistent training cycle in.
Yep.
So keeping that in mind. And then looking at what your goals are for your next meet. I am the type of person, I prefer to pick my next meet almost immediately because then I know I'll have my deload week. I may take a couple extra weeks of just doing recovery exercises, and then I get straight back into the training cycle for my next meet, even if it's 6 months out. What about you?
For me, I've actually got my meets usually picked out prior to the meet that I'm doing. So I'll have 2 or 3 meets planned out in a row so that once I get done with this one, it's straight into it. It's not even thinking about it. I try to plan them out for the year if I can, especially if you're trying to go do your qualifier and do a nationals and hopefully get accepted to worlds. You got to plan those out just right.
No, that definitely makes sense. So, well, as you can see, there's a lot of things to consider when you're doing a reflection for your meet. There's probably things that we missed in here. So if you think of something that you think we should add in next time, just let us know.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. And we'll continue with a new series after this week.
Like and subscribe.
Yes. Bye.